Hi, welcome to Anna's Music Academy, or Mama's Music. Today we're going to be discussing staffs and clefs. So this is the main staff that you will see most of the time when you are doing music. This is another staff, and this is another staff. This staff, we really don't see a whole lot more. It was invented by an Italian monk 1000 AD for Gregorian chant, and it's not like the other staffs and clefs where we can go, this is where this note is and it's definitive. It's more like this is kind of where we want it. It does have C clefs and F clefs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was sung and performed in F or in C. That was used for that, just for noting. We will see that in one other instance for this lesson, but that is what the 4-line staff looks like. But for the most part, you're going to be using the 5-line staff. Now today, our students are going to be presenting the different clefs, so good luck to them. First up, let me pull up my list. Okay, we have Annabelle, you're up. Hello, this is the treble clef, or G clef. This blue note is where middle C is pitched. This staff is used for all of the trebled instruments. So your sopranos, your altos, your oboes, your right hand piano, your violin, so many of the instruments. Here's a list of some of them. It's quite a lot. This is the staff that you are going to want to get to know and familiar with. Most likely, this will be the one that you are using. Yep. Oh, I also wanted to say it's the G clef because the little circle thing right there, it circles around the G line. That's how it got its name. Annie, you're next. Hi, I was also assigned the treble clef, but treble clef with some variants. If you see, this treble clef has an 8 on the top. That means that everything is transposed up an octave. So, middle C is now way down there. This is helpful for instruments like the piccolo, for the soprano recorder. If you look at this treble clef, you can see that the 8 is on the bottom. That means everything is transposed down an octave. So now middle C is right in the middle of the staff. That is helpful for tenors. It can also be indicated by having a double treble clef, and it goes down just 1 octave. That is also helpful for the tenors. Okay, now occasionally you'll see 15 above the treble clef, and that means that they're going to go up 2 octaves, and that would be seen on instruments that are really high, like the soprano recorder. I think I said that right. Bye. Savannah, it's your turn. Hi, I'm Savannah. I have, it looks like the treble clef, but it's actually the French Violin Clef, or G1 clef. As you can see, the G, the treble clef circles around the G, but it's the bottom line this time instead of being in the middle. And it was used in France during the 17th and 18th century for the violin and flute music. And it's really not used anymore, so it's just something of the past. Joanne. Hello, I'm Joanne. As you can see, I have different variations of the C clef. They're right here. The first one, the top one, is the soprano clef. The middle C is this bottom line but typically sopranos don't use that clef. Now we'll use the treble clef. It was used a long time ago for sopranos and keyboards for music in France, and sometimes high viola parts, but it's very rarely used today. This next one is also not used very often. It is the mezzo soprano clef, and it's used in the 17th century for second violas and sometimes first tenors. In the Renaissance, it was used to play flute parts, and sometimes it doubled vocal lines. You can find this sometimes in old scores, but you're not going to find it written for music from today. And this third one is the alto clef, and this one you will find today almost exclusively for viola music, and sometimes for alto trombones and the mandola. So these are the C clefs. Oh, it's that way because where the bubbles that go bloop and then bloop, where the bloom blooms meet right there, that means it's for the C. That's where you know how it gets its name. Bye. Andrew, it's your turn.
I'm Andrew. I'm here to talk about the tenor clef and the baritone clef. As you can see here, the blue circle is where middle C is on the tenor clef. That's the top one. It's used for the bassoon, the cello, the trombone, double bass, and euphonium. A long time ago, tenors would use this clef in operas. Rossini used it, and some other guy. This baritone clef, the top note is where middle C is, and it's the old version of the F clef. It's used for vocals and left hand on the keyboard, and it's no longer used in modern day music.
Annette. Hi, I'm Annette, and I will be discussing some percussion staffs. So this first one is a neutral staff. It's just a line. You'll see just deals with one instrument that's not a pitched instrument and its rhythm. It saves ink that way. Examples would be the cowbell, the gong, the snare, toms, or the triangle. This next one is a percussion staff as well. You can see this cute little rectangle. It's called the percussion or the neutral clef, and the following one is basically the exact same thing. It has two lines, but both of those clefs are used basically the same way. I couldn't find any differences on them. They're for unpitched instruments, and they have lines, and they'll specifically say this line is for this in some sort of ledger or something. Satana.
I'm Satana. I've got the tab clefs, scores, things. Tab stands for tablature, and basically this is gonna be like your strings clefs, not like your violins, but you could use it with your violins. It just basically tells you what fingers you're gonna put on the instrument for your strings. So this is helpful for like your guitars, your bass, your lute, your ukulele. You can actually do it too with the harmonica. It'll tell you where, what position, instead of like, this is the note. So instead of looking at this and going, this is an A or this is a C, it's going to say, okay, on your first string, you're going to put your third finger down. So it'll have a bunch of numbers instead of the thing. And then the biggest drawback is it doesn't tell you like rhythms. It just tells you what finger to put down for it. So that's what these look like. As you can see, there are different numbers of lines, but that's because different instruments have different numbers of strings. So it basically has to do with how many strings are on the instrument, so you know which one to do.
Eliana! Hi, I'm Eliana. I have the F clefs from 19th century is the first one, and it looks really crazy, but really it reads just like a bass clef would. And the next one, also you can see middle C is in the same place, so it reads exactly the same, but it is from the 18th century of France. Instruments that would use this clef would be like anything that would use a bass clef. So your cellos, bassoons, your baritones, all of those things. But for the most part, we do not use those clefs anymore. We would use the bass clef because it's the same.
Hey, I'm Aiden. I'm doing the bass clef. As you can see here, middle C is on a ledger line. Bass clef is used on the piano with your left hand, and also it has a lot of instruments that use the bass clef. So here's a big list. It is not all of them. Bass clef is one of those clefs you probably also would get to know a lot. Treble is like one, and then bass clef is like the next one to learn.
Hannah. Hi, I'm Hannah, and I'm presenting on bass clef variations. This first one is a sub bass clef. It looks like this. The middle C is up an extra like ledger line. It is used to write really low bass parts. It was used in the Baroque era. Same notes as the treble clef, but 2 octaves lower. So that's what it looks like. The next clef is the baritone clef. It's another F clef, so the dots are circling the F clef. This top ledger line is, the top staff line is your middle C. This is an old version of the F clef, and it used to be a clef that was used for the keyboard for the left hand. It is no longer used commonly for that. Thank goodness. Yay, piano players. This last one is the bass 8 via alta clef, and it is played 1 octave higher than written. If you put the 8 on top of it, it goes higher. If you put the 8 below it, it goes lower. If you can do a 15, that means raise the pitch by 1 octave, and if you go 22, that means raise the pitch by 2 octaves. So close. The 8 actually means 1 octave, the 15 means 2 octaves, and 22 means 3 octaves. The 3 octave is really not used very often. When you do see it, it's for like instruments like the glockenspiel, but most of the time if you're writing for a glockenspiel, you're going to know that it's sounding much higher than what it is written. And it has to do with how the instruments sound, like which octave that is. Annabeth. Hi, I'm Annabeth, and this is the grand staff. As you can see, it has the treble clef and the bass clef connected. You can see the blue in the middle, that's middle C. The grand staff is used on all of your keyboard instruments, so your organs, your piano, and also some of percussion instruments use this, like the marimba. Thanks for presenting, students. You did a good job, and I'll see you next time. Hit to like and subscribe, or you might miss dinosaurs. Don't play the piano.